Hey, my name is Lance Williams. I'm a pastor down here in Richmond, Texas, right outside of Houston. And John's asked me to share a little bit about what it means and what it looks like to be an eight. An eight is known as a powerful person, the challenging person, which, if you've known an eight, it is challenging to know an eight, or the challenging protector, which I quite like. I came to know that I was an eight when I took the Enneagram about 2 years ago. And really, when I took the Enneagram, I came up as a high eight, and right behind that was a one. I really wanted to be a one because the one is known as a reformer, and I really enjoy that. But came to surrender to being an eight because the core fear of an eight is either being weak or underestimated. I say surrender to an eight because being a powerful person for me, when I look at my story, I had a lot of people, or some people in my history, that when they were in authority, they abused that authority. And so that power meant abuse. And what I'm coming to find out, and I'm learning, that you don't have to be abusive in order to have a powerful personality. Instead, God has created that in me, and it can be harnessed for really, really good things. I said before that the core fear of an eight was really what convinced me that I was an eight, and that of being weak or underestimated. In high school, my nickname was Weak, W-E-A-K. And while I outwardly accepted that nickname in order for me to be accepted by my peers, inwardly it motivated me to be powerful and to want to hit people hard when I played football and hit home runs when I played baseball. And I relished in comments on the team from my teammates or from the people in the stands that, oh my gosh, I can't believe he would hit them that hard. Or I can't believe that he could hit the ball that hard, or whatever. And so there was this underlying narrative that I kind of gave way to without even knowing it, that people were underestimating me and people were calling me weak, literally. And that motivated me to want to be strong, not necessarily physically, but instead mentally and in my action to work hard. What I love about being an eight is that it does allow me to work hard. It allows me to persevere, to push through hard things. It also allows me to have opinions and not have a whole lot of fear about sharing those opinions. It also allows me to see potential in others. And I love that. I love seeing people come alive in the exercise of their priesthood and their gifts. And as an eight, I didn't know this, but just kind of the way I usually say that is, we want you to flex your priesthood. Well, of course I would say flex as if it's something to show strength in as an eight. But these are the things that kind of help me, and I love about being an eight. The things that are kind of a little bit troublesome about being an eight is that although it motivates me to persevere and allows me to persevere, when others don't push through, I sometimes label them as being weak and therefore unworthy of my investment. And so sometimes relationships become transactional, and of course that's not always healthy. The other thing that I don't really enjoy about my personality is that although I have strong opinions, to me, they're just opinions. And so other people are somewhat intimidated by me and think that I'm super intense when I just think I'm being normal. And so I wish that people knew that I wasn't being as intense as I come off. That inside of me, it's just a normal opinion. But outside of me, it comes off as really strong. That's sometimes difficult to identify and then to tame on any given day. And the last thing that's really tough about being an eight is that if people don't move fast enough in implementing change, I again kind of want to bail on them. And so in discipleship, if I'm discipling other people and they don't take it seriously enough, or they don't start to kind of push through some of the hard things that discipleship entails, I'll kind of put out a challenge that says, all right, are you in this or are you not in this? And that's not always helpful for people that aren't eights. And so I'm learning to be patient and be merciful with those that just don't have the natural gifting of perseverance. And so that's kind of what I'm learning in all of that, and how I am, what I enjoy and what I don't enjoy. The other thing that I'm learning is that I cannot and should not deal so much with frustration. An 8 is in the gut triad, which means that we relate out of anger more than not. And I have to remember that God is not angry with me whenever I don't perform that he wants me to perform. That I have plenty of days where I don't push through and persevere. That I'm not this kind of super guy charging the hill all the time that I make myself out to be. But instead, in God's mercy, he came down the hill for me. In God's mercy, he deals patiently with me in my sin, in my abandonment of him, that I betray him many days. And so I can then relate with others that maybe leave our church, quote unquote, prematurely, or maybe leave me and our friendship prematurely, as I have labeled it. And instead of labeling it in those certain ways, I'm starting to surrender to the sovereignty of God, that he is more powerful than I, and that he wants people to go and relate with others, because that's what he wants. It's in his sovereign will would he put people in any church, and that's a good thing and something to rejoice over, and not necessarily something to lament. I am growing in Gospel Enneagram, not just in my training, but also in how I relate with others. Romans 12:18 says this, that so far as it depends on you, live peaceably with all. And the way that works its way out for me is that as an 8, I think all things and all relationships are worth fighting for. Worth fighting for there to be harmony, for there to be peace, for there to be alignment in mission and vision. And that's just simply not true. Not all relationships and not all people are meant to be fought for. Sometimes it is better to surrender them to the Lord's sovereignty and power and not my own. And so far as it depends on me, live peaceably. And I have to remember that there are limits. There are limits to what I need to fight for. There are limits to what I need to battle for. And that doesn't mean that I'm weak. It means that God is strong. And because those things are true, it's allowing me to trust even more greatly in the gospel and in God's power, and even far less in my own. And that's a good thing. So on good days, I can resign myself to the fact that not everything is worth a fight. And on bad days, I think everything is worth a fight. But in reality, the gospel reminds me, and the Enneagram reminds me, that as an 8, I'm always going to want to fight. But the gospel reminds me that not everything is my fight. I hope that's been helpful, and I hope that you are enjoying this training. May God's mercy reign richly over you. Thanks.